Namaste and hello, this is your Sanskrit instructor welcoming you back into lesson number 18, where I will be introducing how the conjugation for Sanskrit is set up. What I love about learning about languages is that once you learn another language, by learning another language, you sort of understand your own language better than how you did before, but because then you have two languages to compare to each other. So the way how I'm going to introduce conjugation to you is that I'm going to compare it to the way how other languages conjugate their verbs. So what is conjugation in the first place? Let's take a look. So conjugation is the way how a verb changes its form to show a number, person, tense, mood, and voice. Now, what is a verb? A verb is any word that is used to describe an action, state, or occurrence. So an example of a verb would be walking, standing, sitting, to talk, to walk, okay? To talk, to walk, these are the infinitive forms of the verb. That's the infinitive. But then when you are using that verb, when you are talking about a person, place, or thing doing that verb or doing that action, that verb changes into different types of forms. And those different types of forms, that is called a conjugation. That person, place, or thing that is doing the walking, that is doing the running or talking or sitting or standing, the person, place, or thing that is doing that, that is called your pronoun. And that's what I have highlighted here in yellow. So the verb is the action. The pronoun is the person, place, or thing that is participating in that action. So below here, I have conjugations for the infinitive to go. So let's take a look how to go is conjugated in English. So as you can see, it changes. I go, you go. Then he, she, or it goes. The conjugation changes for that specific type of pronoun. Then you have we go, they go. In other languages, they may change a bit more, whether they're considered to be irregular verbs or irregular verbs. We're going to go over that further in the lesson. But for French, in French, for example, to go is aller, and you have different forms of to go depending on the different type of pronoun. You have je vais, tu vas, elle va, il va, nous allons, vous allez. In Spanish, ir, you have yo voy, tu vas. In Hindi, you have मैं जाता हूँ, तुम जाते हो, tu जाता है. These are all different conjugations, okay? So je vais means I go. Yo voy means I go in Spanish. मैं जाता हूँ means I go in Hindi. And all of these words here in the yellow, those are the pronouns. Those pronouns are the person, place, or thing that is doing the action. So je means I, yo means I, मैं in Hindi means I, you. Now, in French and in Spanish, they have a formal form of you and they have an informal form of you. Same thing as in Hindi. The formal form of you is आप, and the informal form of you is तुम. So depending if I wanted to talk to an adult, I would say आप जाते हैं. If I had respect for that adult, if it's my mother or father I'm talking about, or if it's a teacher. If I'm talking to a friend, I would use tum or tu, which are more informal. Tum is actually formal. It's actually tu is the one that is informal. You would say tum jate ho or tu jata hai. Tum is still a little bit more respectful. So there's all these different types of pronouns. In English, you don't have a formal or informal. Whether you are talking to your mom or to your dad or to your friend or to a child, you would always say to go. There's not a formal way of you in English. Now, let's take a look. So these are all the pronouns. And I'm sure you've understood conjugation better when let's say you took a second language in high school or just in grade school, and you get a better understanding as to what conjugation is and how to use pronouns and how to use verbs. So now that we're taking a look at the different ways how to conjugate verbs in other languages, now I want you to compare it to the pronouns that are going to be used in Sanskrit. And so this is the setup in these different languages: English, French, Spanish, and Hindi. That's the setup for the conjugations. These are the pronouns that are being used. Take a look at how different it's going to be for Sanskrit. So in Sanskrit, we have 9 different pronouns. Let me zoom that in for you guys. Okay. So in Sanskrit, there are 9 different pronouns. So the Sanskrit verb conjugated in a finite tense has 3 persons and 3 numbers. So in the top, you have first person. You have first person is I, second person is you, and he, she, or it is third person. But then third person plural would be they go. And first person plural would be we go. In French, vous allez, that is second person plural. So in English, French, and Spanish, and even in Hindi, you only have singular or plural. But what's interesting about Sanskrit is that we don't only have singular and plural, we also have a dual. So in here, in this setup, and I want you to memorize this setup. I want you to memorize how this table is set up, because we're going to be using this table a lot when we're conjugating different verbs in Sanskrit. So in first person, you have I go. For dual, you have the two of us. And then you have first person plural, we all go. So first person singular, first person dual, first person plural. Then you have second person singular, you go. Second person dual, the two of you go. And second person plural, you all go. Then you have third person singular, he, she, or it goes. Third person dual, the two of them go. And then third person plural, they all go. Okay? So again, the Sanskrit verb conjugated in a finite tense has 3 persons and 3 numbers: singular, dual, and plural. In the brackets there, I have the Sanskrit name for singular, dual, and plural. Let me just pronounce that for you. It's not necessary, but I just figured I should just provide those names to you. So singular is ekavachan, dual is dvivachan, and plural is bahuvachan. Okay, so 3 numbers in Sanskrit, 9 different pronouns, 3 persons, singular, first person, second person, and third person, and then you have singular, dual, and plural. Okay, so here's your first introduction to the pronouns in Sanskrit. This is the setup. We're not actually going to the Sanskrit yet. By understanding the setup, hopefully we'll have a better understanding for conjugating the verbs in the future. So we'll move on to the next video, going deeper into the conjugation for Sanskrit, and we'll get started. So this is your Sanskrit teacher signing off, saying namaste. See you in the next video.